In order to begin the process of implementation, a district has to make a decision. How they're going to implement this in terms of is it going to be done through pilot schools? Is it going to be done district-wide, but kindergarten through third grade? Are they going to start with middle schools? Or are they going to start district-wide with a broad-based implementation process? Regardless of what they do in terms of the level and the intensity of implementation, the district has to put together a district leadership team that will guide, support, and evaluate this process. The composition of that team is critical. The clear message is that this is a general education initiative. So the elementary and secondary leadership, the curriculum leadership, student services, special education, parent involvement at that level. But the message has to be consistent. This is a general education initiative. Our goal is to improve the impact of instruction for all students. And by doing that, we will avoid that wait to fail process. We will identify students early. We will prevent. It's not going to result in all students being educated in a general education classroom. But one of the issues we suffer from right now is that there are far too many students and few people to provide supplemental and intensive instruction. So the impact of that instruction, as good as it might be, is too little for the large numbers of students. So that district level team sets the whole foundation for this process and has to be in place first. That district level team, of course, would be made up of people from different buildings and that type of thing, and that district level team would develop the district blueprint or the district plan. If you don't have a plan, it's a recipe for disaster with this process. But I do want to add something else. Although that district level team has to be in place first, and that a district strategic plan has to be in place, RTI, the unit of analysis, the sensitive level of implementation, is the building. It is not the district. Unless the demographics of every building in a district is the same, then the needs of kids in every building are different. So although the blueprint for implementation will be the same across buildings, the content of that blueprint might be different. For example, if you have a school where 90% of your students are English language learners, then the amount of minutes a day that those students will need instruction in reading language arts is going to be far greater than in a school where some of those issues aren't present. So tier 1 instruction in that building is going to look very different than it is in a building in another part of the district. So the blueprint has to provide guidance on implementation, but it has to allow for that individual building flexibility that reflects the needs of the student. But that's the first step in this process. Well, one of the things that we have to remember is that problem solving in RTI really is a general education reform effort. So implementing problem solving in RTI should follow the steps that we would with any reform initiative, and there are 3 of them. First, building consensus. Second, implementing the infrastructure. And then third, implementing the process for providing services to all the kids in a school district. Finally, with implementation, the real specifics of implementation will be district and building policies and procedures to guide now people who want to do something and have the tools to do it. So clearing the way, if you will. The policies and procedures have to be focused on one outcome: consistent application of this across buildings and districts. The litmus test for that is that you have a student and you have a data set for that student. Would 3 or 4 different school teams come up with the same decision for that student and that same data set? Fortunately, we have ways to train that and to document it. So that consensus, infrastructure, implementation in that order, and organizing your plan around those 3 major components is the beginning to the implementation.